This is a podcast about our lived experience, which unfortunately includes infant death and subsequent mental health struggles. Please take good care of yourself and only listen if this content feels safe for you right now. We'll still be here when you're ready.
Hi, I'm Judith.
And I'm Alina. We both lost babies to SIDS in winter 2021.
In the throes of grief, I reached out to a stranger on the internet and our friendship was born.
In the years since, we've been working hard to survive, rebuild, and navigate the continual challenges that have come our way, including divorce,
Job loss,
dating while bereaved,
moving multiple times,
health scares,
pregnancy and parenting a living child,
starting new jobs, and so much more.
We are tired.
Happily Ever After is out of the question for us, but this podcast documents our journeys to happier ever after because we believe life after loss is worth living.
So join us as we laugh, cry until we laugh.
Welcome to As Long as I'm Living podcast.
We're so glad you're here.
What are we talking about today?
Well, I think we should start by saying we have something to share with you. It's not a pregnancy announcement. I feel like that's how people always start pregnancy announcements. I have something I want to tell you. You know what I mean? We have something to tell you.
Uh-huh.
Or sometimes they're like, can I call you? Or like someone you talk to, like, you know, like a bridesmaid at your wedding that you never talk to is like, hey, I'm just going to call you for a quick sec. And then they call you and it's like, we don't ever talk on the phone. I know what you're calling for, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's always like that.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what it's like for you too?
I've never had anybody, nobody calls me, so it definitely is not a call.
I don't know what to make of that. But what I will say is I remember when my sister told me.
Judith, nobody calls me. Nobody
I don't
calls me except you.
Understand that.
My phone records show Judith Aiden's
Oh,
mom.
I'm so
Judith
sorry.
Aiden's
One
Judith
second.
Aiden's mom.
A VP is calling me, so I just have to answer this.
We just took a quick little break because Judith got a work call, and I was scrolling on my phone while you were doing that. And
Yes.
literally, 19 hours ago, I was supposed to have a baby. Posted the results of a poll that they did.
I saw that.
The results are in. While going through infertility or loss, were you triggered by pregnancy announcements? Now, Judith, I don't want you to look. I want you to guess what % of people are triggered.
No, I already
by
saw
pregnancy
this.
announcements.
I
know,
saw
but do you
this
remember?
already.
What percent?
I want to say it was like 80%.
Yes, 79%.
Yeah,
79%.
80% of people are triggered.
Only 9% say no, they're not triggered. So a couple say it depends who is doing the announcing. So a couple say it depends how the announcement was done, like, you know, via text or a phone call or in person or like at a wedding or whatever. A bunch of people said everything triggers me, which, believe me, I feel you, girl.
Yeah.
And some people say I can feel happy and triggered at the same time. So what's our topic for today? Let's get into it.
So you and I are in a really unique position because both of our best friends are pregnant right now.
That's right.
Although, to be completely honest, I've had a pregnant good friend since day one of loss. Just been a different pregnant good friend at all times. But let's talk a little bit about how they shared the information with us.
From the minute he died, I knew I was not going to be able to have another baby right away. So that was kind of off the table for me. Whereas you, when Aiden died, you started trying again, like pretty much right away. So that was different. We run in very different circles of people. My friend group tends toward like getting married late, having kids later, like, and whereas your community is very family focused, like people have tons of kids, like there's always pregnant people everywhere constantly, right?
Constantly.
So for me, my like main experience with pregnancy announcements since Quinn died has been with fellow lost parents who are pregnant now with, I guess, like rainbow babies or whatever you would want to call them. So until recently, I had never been triggered by a pregnancy announcement, which I can't even believe I'm saying, but that's true. I had never been triggered by a pregnancy announcement. My really good friend Julia was pregnant when Quinn died. And even that, I was not triggered by her being pregnant. I was not triggered by her new baby when she was born. I was a little bit, it was difficult for me when baby was like Quinn's age when he died. But she's now almost 2 because, you know, Quinn died a long time ago and that baby's alive. But until recently, I had never been triggered by a pregnancy announcement. Whereas, Judith, that's not true for you, right?
No, I mean, Aiden died in March, and I got my first, like, one of my closest best friends, Julia, who you met during our Friends series, told me she was
Mhm.
pregnant maybe in June. So I only had a couple of months. And
Yeah.
then after that, in September, or let's say in October, my other best friend, Miriam, who you have met on the podcast,
Also met.
told me also told me she was pregnant. And after that, it's pretty much been a constant string of pregnancies.
And you were pregnant in that also.
And then I was pregnant, so I was the one doing the one telling people. Then a bunch of
Mhm.
my lost mom friends from my same kind of like lost mom class became pregnant, which to me feels very different. But okay, they became pregnant. And then my other very like my nearest and dearest friend has told me she's pregnant actually with her third child. So
Mhm.
it has been constant, pretty much. I constantly know people who are pregnant and constantly know people who are having children. Um, and I think my feelings have really evolved on the matter
Mine as well. Yeah.
since the beginning. So why don't we start with, well, do you want to start with how you announced to the world you were pregnant with Quinn? Because I think it kind of
Sure.
shapes how I feel about announcements in general.
I think that's a good idea. So, I found out I was pregnant with Quinn on my birthday, January 15th. That entire day, a Kaylee was on a work trip, so I had it to myself. I told her obviously when she got home, and then we pretty much told everybody, not everybody, but we told like our immediate families right away, our friends right away. I had a birthday, like activity planned at a alcoholic cidery brewery with all my friends, and so I was pregnant, so I couldn't drink, and so it kind of felt like I'm just gonna share it. So I people knew I was pregnant when I was like 5 weeks pregnant. Um,
Wow.
there was no social media
And what was the
post.
response when you told your friends that you're pregnant?
Oh, so much. I mean, well, okay, I was gonna say I was gonna say so much excitement. I think like I was like by far the first of my friends to have a kid, so I think people were excited, but it also I think like was a harbinger of like a different phase of life that we were entering. So I think it probably
Yeah.
freaked some people out. But like Leah, for example, my friend Leah, who you met on the um in the Friends series, she was just like so excited to be Zelia and Leah, like so excited. And this also like not for nothing, but this happened like during the pandemic. So like I was sick the first trimester of pregnancy, so, like, I told people via text because I wasn't up for, like, going out and doing things, and then the pandemic hit, so then my entire pregnancy was, like, in isolation, but I did not do a social media post, I did not do, like, a gender
Yeah.
reveal, like, none of that stuff, so I
Yeah.
was pretty private about it. What about you?
I, in general, am not enthusiastic about big announcements because I feel like they're really presumptuous. Like even before Aiden died, I was like annoyed when people would like announce on social media they were pregnant because I was like, you don't know that baby could like die. Like, are you sure you want to do it that way? Like it felt. And I've always been really sensitive towards people who are struggling with infertility, and I
Yeah.
know it's hurt. It's like painful.
Mhm.
And so I've always kind of felt a little uncomfortable with like big wide pregnancy announcements on Facebook. It just seems really presumptuous in a way that I've
Yeah.
always been a little anxious. I'll say that. Like
Yeah.
I've always been the type of person who's like, you don't know, like, a little
Mhm.
Jewish anxiety. I'm sure stemming from the Holocaust. I'm sure. But
It
so
always
I've
comes back
always
to the Holocaust.
it always goes back to the Holocaust. But I really do bet you like that anxiety gets passed down. But um my point is just that I've always felt a little uneasy about it. So I certainly did not announce on social media that I was pregnant with Aiden. And I also feel like it's a little like, I don't know, showy offy a little bit.
I think that's, like, actually a good point too, like, pregnancy announcements and, like, wedding and engagement announcements always have, like the whole comment section is, "Congratulations, congratulations, congratulations," and, like,
Yeah.
I remember thinking, like, when I was pregnant with Quinn and I was getting all these congratulations, like, I just remember thinking, like, "I didn't do anything."
Right.
Like, what, I had
Right.
unprotected
Yeah.
sex? Like, cool, like,
Yeah.
I don't know, it's just, like, kind of a
Well,
funny of course, it's joyful and people are congratulatory, but, like, it's not
yes.
like getting a promotion where you're congratulating somebody on their hard work.
Right. I don't know. I just have to say that I think it's me. I know a lot of people who like love it, and I do think it's nice to tell all your friends and family what's going on and when our daughter was born, I did announcement. When Aiden was born, I did announce it. I did post on because I do understand the value in sharing your happy news with other people. I just, for me, I was always on the borderline of like anxious something would go wrong, and so I didn't want to post about it because I didn't want to have to,
Mhm.
I don't know what I didn't want to do. I didn't
Yeah.
want like that attention on me in that way. Okay, so I'll say I was always like a little weird about it, but when I did find out I was pregnant, we waited until we were 8 weeks and we heard the heartbeat and we told my parents and my husband's parents. And then we told our friends because it was COVID, like really one at a time. Like we would see them like 6 feet apart and we would outside and we would tell
Yeah.
like, we told them and everyone was so excited for us because we were the last ones in our friends group to have a kid, which is funny because you were the
Mhm.
first, like we were the last by
Mhm.
far. And so everyone was so excited because they were like, finally, Um,
Mhm.
so there was a lot of enthusiasm and excitement. And then I did text, I texted people. I actually didn't call very many people to tell them. But I think for me, I've always kind of, when it comes to pregnancy, I've always kind of leaned towards being a little more private. But of course, I
Yes.
did tell my best friends, and I remember one time, the way I told my friend was, I said something like, I just want to share with you that I'm pregnant. You're such an incredible mom. I know I have a lot to learn from you. I think that's what I said to all of
Mhm.
my friends. So you all got the same text. Um, ex- Except from the one friend that I had that like I sent her a picture of the stick with the P on it and lines. Like, we all have that one friend that we send. Um that too. So she did get that. But my point was just uh that I did tell people over text. I didn't call very many people and I was kind of private about the whole thing because I think the entire time I was a little nervous.
Mhm.
But fast forward to after Aiden died, pregnancy announcements were really painful and really triggering for me because in that mindset that I was in, that Aiden died and the only child I ever had died, was that I would never have children myself. And so
Mhm.
everyone telling me that they were pregnant was so painful because it felt like they were showing off
Yeah.
this thing I desperately wanted, you
Mhm.
know? And
Yeah.
when I knew people got pregnant quickly, it was even more annoying.
Mhm.
It was
Yeah.
like, it was
Oh, yeah, I
so,
should
I got,
also add, it took me a year to get pregnant with twins. So this was, like, a very wanted pregnancy that I had been, like, fighting tooth and nail to achieve. We didn't have to go through infertility treatments, but, like, he was still conceived spontaneously, but, like, it was not fun, like, so
yeah.
I already am, like, a little bit traumatized. I'm so glad I
Right.
did
And
not have a zillion pregnancy announcements during that phase of my life.
which I mean, it's not that it took me a long time to get pregnant. It's just that I was so triggered. I just felt like it was unfair. Why do you get everything? Why
Yeah,
do you get
it is
everything?
unfair.
And I remember also being frustrated when someone would tell me before the 12-week mark because
Mhm.
I remember thinking like, why do you
Sure.
presume that this baby will live? Like, I also felt like there were sometimes people I didn't even want them to tell me at all. It was like, what benefit is it going to serve me if someone from camp tells me I'm pregnant? I don't need to know that. I don't. I really don't need to know that. I would have been happier. This is just me personally, not knowing until the baby was here and in your arms and being in that like naive bliss for 9 months,
Yeah.
than if someone were to tell me, when they were 5 weeks pregnant. For
Mhm.
me personally, I
Yeah.
know a lot of people would be really hurt if their friend didn't tell them. So let's talk about. Okay, so right now we recently had both of our closest friends tell us that they were pregnant, and they did it in
Mhm.
wildly different ways.
Very different ways.
Very different ways. So, like, what were you? First of all, let's just say that your friend who told you, texted you, and tell us a little bit about what that message said. How did it feel to be on the receiving end of that message?
Yeah, so I'll start by saying that this friend of mine did it exactly right. I think she did it exactly right. She gave me a heads up when they were starting to try, which was totally not necessary, but I appreciated. Um, she asked how I would want to find out if and when she was able to get pregnant. So I had an opportunity to think about, like, and I think what I told her is like, I want to know as soon as you're comfortable sharing. Like, I don't want to be wondering every time I see you if you're pregnant. I want to know. I want you to tell me, but please do it over text and it's et cetera, et cetera. And
Well,
then
how did it feel to be included in that way?
I really appreciated it. I will say, even that text was emotionally, it was taxing. It was triggering to me. Even just the heads up that they were starting to try to get pregnant was triggering. Um, because I want that so badly, and that is so not in the cards for me for at least another year, that even that I was just so jealous that she could even try,
Yeah.
which I can't. And then, of course, like, you don't wish infertility on anybody, but like, I definitely wouldn't wish infertility on anybody, but she also wound up getting pregnant, like, pretty quickly,
Yeah.
which I'm so happy for her. That's how it should be. But I also, like, even if my baby hadn't died, like, there would still be a little part of me that was, like, annoyed that it was so easy for her and it was so hard for me,
Yeah.
you know? But so, yeah, she texted me and, said, "Hey, this is like, I know this is complicated news, but, you know, I found out I'm pregnant, and they had an ultrasound and the ultrasound went well." And so she said, "It's still, I wanted to share that with you, and you don't have to respond. And, you're an amazing mom, and I look up to you," and like, blah, blah, blah. She said like all like this like really wonderful stuff. And I collapsed on the floor.
Yeah. And you know what's funny? When
I,
you told me, I was really triggered and upset.
yeah,
And she's
yeah.
not, my friend, but I was really annoyed.
I, I read the preview of the text
Yeah.
and collapsed on the floor. Like, I didn't even read the entire text.
Yeah.
I just remember like sinking to my knees, and it was like I detached from planet Earth. We all know that feeling. Like, I literally just like sank to my knees on the floor. I was not crying. I was not like whatever. I just was nothing. Like, it was gone. I was not there.
Yeah.
And I hate that that is how I reacted to the news of a baby that I know I'm going to love. But that is not how I feel right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is not how I feel right now about this baby. And I'm so sorry, friend, if you're listening. I'm going to tell her not to listen to this episode.
I don't think she should listen.
But that is not how I feel about this baby right now. I do not love this baby yet. I will get there, but I do not love this baby.
Well, so your friend Julia that did have a baby, that baby is born in here, and do you feel differently about her baby than this baby that you know that is
Yes.
in utero?
Yes.
And that makes you feel like confident that your feelings will change.
I am 100% confident that my feelings are going to change, that I'm going to love this new baby, that I'm going to be absolutely crazy about this baby. I'm going to want to be involved in their life. It's challenging.
How do you feel towards this other friend? I mean, that's how you feel towards the baby. How do you feel towards the friend? Because I know
I'm
for
jealous.
me, it can feel like a betrayal.
Yeah. I don't necessarily feel betrayed by her, but I do feel angry.
Tell
I
me
have
more.
felt I have felt so, like, I actually think that's one of the most salient feelings that I've been feeling about this pregnancy announcement, is just anger, and not necessarily anger at her, and really actually not anger at her at all. But every time I think about it, and I think about her being so happy, and her and her husband like having this like beautiful, new life, and so
Yeah.
exciting, and congratulations, it actually like makes me, like, my blood boils. Like, I'm so angry that it's so much easier for other people, and it's I'm so angry that they're so happy and I'm so unhappy. Like, I'm so jealous. I'm
Yeah.
mad.
That's
Like,
how I feel too.
I'm mad.
Yeah. And I think that there's also this little piece of both of us that say, and I don't want to speak for you, but there's this little piece of us that's like, and we also don't know if this baby's going to be 100% alive. You know?
100%. Judith,
It's
like, I
like,
know.
baby still
Like,
died. Like, why are you so confident this baby is going to live? You seem really confident about this baby living. I don't feel that confident, because I know bad things happen. So part of it feels a little bit like triggering to see them feel so confident.
well, what I will say is, like, I don't think they feel overconfident. I think they're pretty
Uh,
traumatized by Quinn dying. But even with a hyper awareness of babies dying because of my experience and like their friends' experience, they still have a naivete about them that is so I'm so jealous of. Like,
yeah.
so jealous.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
so jealous. I want a baby.
You do
It
deserve
just
a baby.
sucks. Yeah.
I think that someone would say, like a therapist, I don't know if a therapist would say this, like their life is independent from your life, what they have, don't compare, don't look at others. And I think that's bullshit. I think the
It
reality
feels
is
personal.
it feels personal. It feels that's how I feel when it comes to like my sister. It feels like the master of universe. I don't know if you believe in God or not. The higher power is looking at this group of friends and is saying
Mhm.
to this group of friends, you get everything good, you get
Yep.
normalcy, and you do not. And you do not get it because they're getting that. There's only so much good luck to go around. It feels like they're taking something from me. It doesn't feel like there's two pots of good to go around and it's like you
Mm-mm.
get your pot and you get your pot. It's like, well, there's only one pot and I feel like you're getting an awful lot of good and I feel like I'm getting an awful lot of shit and I don't understand why you get the majority of the good pot and I'm left over. Like I get the shit leftovers. You know, that's how it feels.
That is
It
how
does,
it
I
feels.
don't feel like, well, there's a million pots and there are a million people, and maybe compared to your sister, you have a lot worse things, but compared to someone who's living in a refugee camp right now, you have a lot of good pot shit. So I don't feel that way, even though that's the reality. I get it, but it feels like because we're in one group of friends, because I had the same things as this person up until a certain point, it feels personal.
It feels
And
personal.
I want to talk a little bit about the conversation that we had to comfort each other because I think it was really funny. But I'll just say that when Alina did call me and tell me about this person being pregnant, it impacted me too. And that's because I think pregnancy announcements can trigger you whether or not you know the person. And I will say that
Mhm.
there's this couple on TikTok. Their name is Matt and Abby. They're so annoyingly happy. They like lived in Hawaii. They're like in this like I think like Christian group of people that like live in Hawaii, have blonde hair, somehow are 100 pounds, and like surf,
Uh-huh.
but like also like they're
I
part
know
of
the
like a
type.
kind of okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Matt and Abby. So Matt and Abby had their first kid. She got pregnant literally in 1 month. Anyway, she had a baby. She was
All the eye rolls
breastfeeding.
for that. Fuck them.
Exactly. And then guess what? She's pregnant again, 5 months postpartum. And I cannot tell you how triggered I am by Matt and Abby. I don't know Matt and Abby. I don't know.
Congratulations, Matt and Abby. Fuck you and
Congratulations,
your
Matt and Abby.
stupid alive
Now Matt and
children.
Abby, I don't know how to get rid of them on TikTok. Now Matt and Abby are telling all their friends about the gender of this baby and like they're so happy and so excited. And I'm so triggered by Matt and Abby and I don't know that. And I'll say that I also follow a lot of infertility accounts on TikTok. I don't know how. There's this one woman who's been trying to get pregnant, I think, for 3 years. She's had like longer than that, but I've been following her for let's say 3 years about. She's gone through 7 transfers,
Oof.
an unknown amount of egg retrievals. I don't know. This was her 7th transfer, and she's pregnant after 5 years of infertility. And even her, I'm not happy for. I am triggered by her. And she deserves it more than anyone. Like, she seems to be a lovely person who was desperate for a child. Caitlin O'Neill. I watched poor Caitlin cry, and I felt for her so compassionately while she was trying to get pregnant. I was rooting for her. The minute I saw those pink lines, I was like, oh, fuck you, Caitlin. I don't even want to look at you, Caitlin O'Neill.
Barf. Ew.
Barf. Caitlin, you're pregnant. How could you do this to me? You betrayed me. Granted, I've had a child in between the time she's been trying to be pregnant. And like she deserves it so much. She's such a nice person. She's such a good mom. She like sews her own clothes for her alive child, her daughter. And I'm so triggered by it. And I think that it's because it's not rational. Like that's the thing about
It's not
emotions.
rational.
Some of them are rational, some of them I can understand, but some of them are just like this emotional response of someone having something you desperately want. And
Yeah.
I think that these TikTok people are just an example of how it makes sense that you're triggered by some celebrity's pregnancy announcement or you're triggered by, like of course you're going to be triggered by your best friend because you're triggered by Caitlin O'Neill. Like
Yeah.
obviously you're going to be triggered. I'll say for me, the way I found out that my best friend was pregnant, I had to say we have to put this in context, which is that she had her first son 5 months before I had Aiden, and she texted me her pregnancy test before she even told her husband. Like we were in it together. It took her a few months to get pregnant. She has PCOS, and she I think so. It took some effort, and then when she showed me that she was pregnant, I was obviously so excited, and I thought to myself, well,
Yeah.
like I'm gonna be trying soon, so like maybe our kids will be the same age. So then we had our first kid just a few months apart, and then she's always wanted a lot of kids. She comes from a big family, and she started trying for a second kid right away, like when Aiden was still alive. So pretty soon. And
Mhm.
it just kind of wasn't really happening. And then one day I asked her about it, and I spoke about this in one of our first episodes. And I said, well, where are you on trying to get pregnant? Because I didn't want to be caught off guard because I knew it would hurt me
Yeah.
so much. And she told me, "Oh, we've decided to stop because we want to wait for you to get pregnant first. And when you get pregnant, we'll start trying again. But right now, I really just want I can't do that to you." And I mean, that just felt so loving. I would never ask anyone to do that. I still think it's beyond generous. I wouldn't consider that. And I think even, Lena, you and I have spoken about you trying to get pregnant again. And I told you, I said, like, if you want me to wait, I'll wait. Like, I, it meant a lot to me. Sure enough, I got pregnant, and the next month she got pregnant. And so our daughters are 1 month apart. So, okay, hold on, everyone. Following the story, she has a 2-year-old, a 1-year-old. And then, 6 months postpartum, she decided to go off birth control. And when she told me she was going off birth control, I said to her, this means you can get pregnant, right? And she was like, no, it took us a long time, and I have PCOS, and I don't ovulate. Like, last time I needed letrozole. Like, she was like, no, I don't think so. But, like, I was in my head. She was like, we have 2 kids under 2. Like, this isn't like, we're not on a honeymoon here. And so I kind of put it out of my mind, and I didn't really think about it anymore. After she said that, I just thought she was insane, is what I honestly thought. And which she is. And then she called me to on Aiden's death anniversary, and she called me to tell me she was thinking about Aiden. And all of a sudden, she was very almost like word vomity a little bit. And she was like, Judith, I just took a pregnancy test and it's positive. And like, if you could not be more opposite from how Alina was told, I mean, that's how I was told on Aiden's death anniversary. I know it wasn't intentional. I think that
she was in shock. Clearly, she wasn't thinking.
She was just
like, oh shit, this is a positive pregnancy test.
Yes, yeah. It was not intentionally done to hurt me. I know that for sure. But it just kind of I think she was in pure shock that it happened.
Yeah.
And so anyway, so she told me just like that. And first of all, I was high. I had a gummy. I was half asleep. I was sleeping. It was 11:30 at night or 12. And she was telling me this. And I remember just thinking to myself, today? You're telling me this now? This is not this is not a good time for me to respond. And I kept just saying, what? You're pregnant? How did this happen? Because now it means she's gonna have 3 kids under 3.
Yeah. Again, just in case you forgot or got lost on Judith's story, this woman's first child is Aiden's age. Having her third child.
And she's having her 3rd child. And it's hard for me to explain how my feelings have evolved about this pregnancy. I think part of the reason why I'm so comfortable with it is because I think it's going to be insanely hard. So it feels almost like punishment. Feels like but I'm also jealous, not of her situation, because I don't want 3 kids under 3. That sounds like a lot of work for me. But I'm so jealous that she's in the place of her life where they're okay. They're excited about it. Where it's not bad news. Being the situation I'm in, a pregnancy right now would be really stressful financially because my husband's still out of a job. Emotionally because my husband's deep in grief and I'm trying to support him through this. So we're kind of in the washing machine. And I just feel if I got this news, it wouldn't feel good. And I was so jealous that they're in a normal place where normal people get normal good news and they're happy.
And that's how I feel too. I can't even have an accidental pregnancy because 50% of my eggs have a gene that apparently kills children. So I can't even have an accidental pregnancy.
Children. It just increases the likelihood that they'll
Sure. Whatever. Stop it with your truth and your logic. That's ridiculous. I can't even. It's not even I could convince my fiance to knock me up today. I can't even do that because I have this stupid bum gene. So my pregnancies are gonna have to have so much work.
Yeah.
It's so freaking unfair. It's so unfair.
I think part of it is what you said earlier, the joy. I know that if I were to get pregnant today, that it would be 9 months of PTSD, constantly going to the doctors, constantly being anxious. I know that when the baby was born, my husband has a form of PTSD where like crying babies trigger him from Aiden's death, and it's like acute PTSD, like panic attacks.
Yeah.
And so I know that I would be basically setting myself up to do every single bit of work related to a crying baby. It would just, I don't want to say it would not be joyful. It would just be not joyful. This, and that's where I am in my life right now. And so I feel really jealous that there are
Yeah.
other people in the world that are in a place of joy, that are operating
it's
from a
good
cup
news.
that's half full or even
And you know what,
completely
Judith?
full.
You and I also, like, we know what it's like to be married and expecting your first baby, and it's so exciting, and like it's all good.
Yeah.
Like, we were that
Yeah.
naive.
Yeah.
And so we
Yeah.
know how good it feels,
Oh
and
my,
we're
I know how
never going to have that
excited that
again.
she is. I think she's a
Yeah.
little scared given the situation, but I know
Yeah.
that she's so excited. And what's interesting is how I feel towards her. It's not how I felt towards Julia when Julia told me she was pregnant because I have a baby now that's alive. It feels different. The reason I'm saying this
Yeah.
is because I want people to know that the feelings evolve. Because I
It
have an
has
alive
evolved. Yeah.
child, I don't feel that same anger towards the person. Like when Julia told me she was pregnant, I was like, it really hurt in a different way. Now it doesn't feel that way, but it's more like annoying,
Mhm.
than painful.
Mhm.
So I would say that I have seen a lot of progress on this front, and Matt and Abby annoy me, but like not every single person triggers me in the way that they once did. It's like a certain
Yeah.
specific
So,
happiness. And I just want to add this one other thing is that lost parents pregnancies don't trigger me at all. Do you find
yeah,
that?
lost parent pregnancies do not trigger me at all. Not
I
even a little
love
bit.
them.
Like,
I
not
like
even a
revel in them.
single bit.
I
Me
want
too.
to wrap myself up in a present full of lost baby rainbow babies. I
Oh
want to
my
like
God.
cuddle with every one of them. I want to just like kiss
Yes.
their faces and send them gifts and love
Yes.
on them and hear about them.
100%.
Like I am so happy when I hear of a lost mom pregnancy.
Me too.
And
That's how I
I'm
feel
just
too. And by the way, it's not a problem if that's not how you feel. Like, I'm sure plenty of
yeah.
listeners are like, I can't even get behind lost parent pregnancies. I get it, of course, but that happens to be how I feel.
Yeah.
I don't want friends of lost parents to listen to this episode and be like, "Oh my God, I can't tell them that I'm pregnant. I can never tell them." Like, blah 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 blah. I think it just fucking sucks, and it's the cross of the non-lost parents to bear that they have to figure out the like thread the needle of how to tell the lost parent, and like if
Yeah.
that's their thing that sucks. Like for us, it's
I
that our kids are dead. So
I remember when I was pregnant with my daughter, I would go to the park and I was like acutely aware that other people were looking, people look at when
Mhm.
you're pregnant. And I remember thinking like, oh gosh, what if one of these other parents is a lost parent? What if these other
Yeah,
people are struggling with infertility and I'm triggering them? And here's what I'll say
yeah,
to that person. Hate me. Hate me all you want. Hate me, shit on me, call your friend and cry about me. I can handle it. I am not the
Mhm.
one who's suffering most right now. You are. So if you hate me to pieces, if you never want to talk to me again, if you don't want to talk to me for the next 6 months, if you don't want to uh if you wish evil for me, that's okay. Like I can handle it. And I
Mhm.
get it. And I'm not upset about it. I'm not hurt about it. I get it. And I really feel like we need to forgive ourselves for having really normal human emotions,
Yeah. Yep.
and that's okay. And
Yep.
as someone who was pregnant, who had the gift of hope,
Mhm.
I can handle it. I can
Yeah.
handle it. I can handle
Yeah.
it. It's my job as someone who's in a position who has that pregnancy to manage my feelings about myself, and don't worry about hating me because I get it.
Yeah.
Which is leads me to our next point, which is Alina, do you want to let's talk through the conversation that we had. Again, if you are pregnant and you are not a lost mom, please do not listen to this because I don't. It's a deep. Here are our deepest wishes for
Okay,
our
so
pregnant
I think
friends.
like here's how I feel, okay? I don't want to wish ill on this baby. I don't want to wish ill on my friend. I like when she told me she was trying, I did not want to wish infertility on her. But I remember we were like, maybe it'll take her like 6 months. Like maybe
Yeah,
it'll just take like 4 or 5 months.
yeah,
It
yeah,
didn't. And now she's pregnant, and I'm happy for her, but there's also that anger there, and Judith like really nailed how to support me through this. So here's what we hope for these babies that are born to these naive fucking assholes with their good lives. Okay.
Do you want to read through it? We can read back and forth.
Okay, hang on. Okay,
I
here we go.
picture them. I think you should start. I picture them going to bed at night.
Okay. Yeah. I picture them going to bed at night and her husband talking to her pregnant belly, and I want to throw up. Like, it actually makes me sick.
Barf. I hope she gets bad hemorrhoids. And I hope she gets lots of stretch marks because I bet those are her biggest problems.
I said, knowing her, she'll have a picture perfect pregnancy, which she deserves because she's an amazing, lovely person. But I also hate it.
And then I said, Lena, it's okay to shit on her. I know you love her. I know you want the best for her. I know you're a good person. But between you and me, and now all of the podcast audience, you can say your ugly thoughts. I won't tell anyone except apparently all of our podcast audience. And I said, I won't tell anyone and I won't judge you.
I said, well, in that case, fuck this.
And I said, yes. Fuck their happy life.
Yep. Yeah. I said, this child with his dumb beating heart.
And I said, I bet he won't have a sparkling personality and he'll be fairly ordinarily looking. I said, she'll have clogged milk ducts. I said, and her in-laws won't be helpful. And they won't have air conditioning in the summer. And maybe their pipe will burst in winter. And the live baby will be allergic to milk and eggs and soy and gluten. And he'll be annoyingly allergic to everything.
But he'll be alive.
I said, maybe he'll have a hobby like collecting rocks.
I said, ugh, rocks, blah.
And then I said, one day, your baby and this baby will be sitting next to each other. And that baby will be eating his gluten-free, egg-free cookie. And your kid will be eating a cupcake. And she'll look at you so cute with big blue eyes and a big, beautiful smile. And the other baby will be whining. And you'll think to yourself, Quinn may be dead, but at least he's magical. And this baby of mine might be a year younger than my friends, but she's magnetic. And she's powerful and confident. And she's special. And you'll think it sucks to be my friend with her boring baby. And then you'll smile because of how funny it is that you'd rather have a dead special kid than a live boring kid. And then you'll think that's the dumbest thought I've ever had because obviously I'd rather have an alive kid. And then I said, I love you. We'll get through this together.
So
it still makes me laugh. But
here is our wish.
100% true.
Yes. I obviously, my friend's baby is going to be so cute and sparkly and special. But there is just this like little teeny tiny part of me that's like, maybe this baby will be really boring. Maybe he'll be annoying. He's going to be into rocks. But actually, I think, you know, it would be even worse than being like into rocks is if this kid was like really into sports because neither of them are particularly sporty.
Oh, yes.
I wonder
how
how
insane. Go to hockey games.
Exactly. Like,
and buy
she's
all this
gonna have to like
expensive equipment.
The travel soccer team.
Or worse, she'll be like, maybe you'll be into golf and she'll have to sit there and watch golf for hours.
That's a nightmare. How unhinged do we sound, listeners? Do we sound
very
insane?
What are you guys? What do you think? Are we horrible people? It's hard to tell. I hope not.
Again, to be clear, like I don't wish any actual ill on this baby or my friend or any of these pregnant people.
But this is not related to anyone. This is just these are just feelings that you feel. They're just feelings that you feel.
Can I make a prediction? I'm guessing that our listeners are listening to this episode and they're like, yes, finally somebody is saying it.
I really think so because I think that we love our friends more than anything. And it's not.
Yes.
We care about them and we want them to have a joyous, happy life. And we wouldn't want anything to happen. But we're also human. And I know that our listeners are also human. And they also want their best friends to have the best in the world. But they also wish they had like clogged milk ducts. And they also wish life was just a little more fair.
Exactly. It should just be more fair.
A little more fair.
There is no reason in the world that my baby should be dead and her baby is alive.
No.
There's no explaining it. It's completely fucking unfair. So it makes sense that I have irrational feelings about it. It's an irrational situation.
Yeah, exactly. So
anyway.
We'll leave it with that, guys. Whew. I hope that you forgive us for our ugly thoughts, and I hope they sound like your ugly thoughts too.
Wait, I actually have one last thing, which is that I'm getting married this summer, and there are going to be at least at least 4 pregnant people there out of a guest list of like 60, possibly more.
Well,
And I'm
not
so
me.
annoyed about it. No, not you. You better not be pregnant. You
I
can't
will
handle
not
it
be
right
pregnant
now.
this summer. I can't. I will not be pregnant this summer. But what I will say is that I don't have anything to say. That's hard. They're lost moms, though. A lot of them are lost moms.
No.
They're not?
No.
Oh.
My fiance has 2 pregnant friends.
Oh.
My friend, and I'm expecting
maybe one more.
friends to be
Yeah.
pregnant. And there is a potential. I mean, there are lost parents that are coming that I would love if they were pregnant, but I don't know if they will be.
That's
so
gonna
anyway,
be
there's
hard.
at least
But I bet they have hemorrhoids.
Yeah, they better fucking get hemorrhoids.
They better.
And like round ligament pain. Fuck that.
Yes. And stretch marks.
Yeah, stretch marks. Okay. We wish all you happy pregnant people stretch marks and lots of love from As Long As I'm Living.
To all of our wonderful new friends, we want to hear from you. Email us at aslongasimlivingpodcast@gmail.com and follow us on Instagram at aslongasimlivingpodcast. We'll get back to you as soon as our grieving brains allow.
Yay.